I told you about 6 weeks ago that the Trump administration's then new strategy on the virus would be to pretend the virus has been fixed. We are past the peak, they were saying. They're not going to do any more press briefings with doctors, very little talking about the virus or treatments or vaccines. They'll instead focus on reopening the economy, restaurants, recovery, all of that stuff. And that's exactly what happened. And meanwhile, as I already told you earlier, cases have exploded in places like Florida, which is hitting higher and higher new highs in terms of cases every day. Places like Texas, whose curve is slightly less horrifying than Florida's, but still really bad. So what does Donald Trump do? He decides he'll have a huge rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, because that's how you pretend things are totally normal, except things aren't totally normal. And they know it because when you go to register for tickets, you have to accept a waiver that says if you catch coronavirus at the rally, you will not hold Trump's campaign or the event organizers responsible. The exact wording is that by clicking register below, you acknowledge that an inherent risk of exposure to COVID-19 exists in any public space where people are present. By attending the rally, you and any guests voluntarily assume all risks related to exposure to COVID-19 and agree not to hold Donald Trump for president, the Bach Center, or anybody else liable for illness or injury. That sure doesn't sound like things are normal, and that certainly doesn't sound like it's the type of situation where you should be having a huge rally. Now, of course, Trump is protecting himself. Trump's protecting his campaign. But will he be protecting the people who are there? Will they hand out masks to everybody on the way in and say, wear the mask during the rally? Will they space people out so that they can maintain some physical distance? No, the answer appears to be they're not going to do any of those things. When a rally needs a medical warning label, maybe the rally shouldn't be happening. Now, there's some very interesting sociology and social psychology here. We've talked about Trumpism as a cult, and we've interviewed cult experts, and this is sort of a test. When Jim Jones had his cult down in Guyana, he did a test run of having them drink cyanide-laced Kool-Aid where he didn't really put the cyanide in the Kool-Aid. This is where the term to drink the Kool-Aid originated. And the reason Jim Jones did this was to see how devoted his cult followers were. And then later on, he actually gave them the cyanide-laced Kool-Aid and 900 people died. This is the Trumpism test. Are you willing to go, despite the waiver, despite it obviously not being safe to do an event this big and this crowded, to pledge your support for the dear leader? Now, you might be wondering, what are right-wingers saying about this disclaimer? I looked around. A lot of them are saying, you liberal goons, every big event is going to have a disclaimer like this until we have a coronavirus vaccine. There's nothing special about a Trump rally having this waiver. What's special is that nobody else is having events with 10,000 people right now. Other events might have a similar disclaimer if they start having events this big, if it's safe to start, but there are no such events going on. That's the whole point. The fact that such a disclaimer is necessary when you're the only people having an event this big, that's a sign you shouldn't be having the event at all. Let me know what you think. Remember, the David Pakman Show chess tournament is Tuesday, June 16th at 8 p.m. I hope you'll play. Sign up for free at davidpakman.com/chess.